Hey, Thomas Westbrook here, and you're watching Atheist Edge.
Garrett Wilson, we scheduled this probably at least a month ago.
Yeah,
Just now.
February.
Oh,
Early
February, was
February.
it? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, it was probably something on social media that sparked my interest, and I was like, well, man, you got to come on the show and explain that because
I was on a debate site.
okay, it was
Yeah.
it was a
Atheist
subject that was
versus
just
yeah.
so foreign to me, the entire
Uh-huh.
subject. So if you could just go really start from scratch, and I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to probably raise my hand and jump in at certain times because
Yeah, of course.
it got really complicated really fast.
Yeah. And I talk fast too, so I'm gonna try to slow down.
Alrighty.
So like probably November 2016, I kind of had like I was like sitting in my friend's car. I remember I was sitting outside. I was like near Thanksgiving, and I started like thinking like all these racing ideas started coming, and I was just like I started thinking about like the sun and the core and like in heaven and hell and all that, and so I was like I wonder if there's anything about this. So I started researching, and I came across electromagnetic fields and how the earth has an electromagnetic field, and it generates and then I came across the suns, and so then I came across the human heart electromagnetic field, which is like the embodiment of like, because the brain has one, the heart has one, we have like little ones, but the embodiment, because mass energy equivalence states that like it stays intact, like it's all one field. And I studied on Heart Math Institute how there are new discoveries about it, how it's like pretty much it's like the seat of our emotions, and it's like
Okay, I got to stop you right there. So that's really you sent me a lot of stuff, and unfortunately, we just got off a 12-hour recording session. We've got so many people booked. I didn't do my research like I wanted to, but I did look into it, and so I did fact check the part about the heart having its own magnetic field, and indeed you are correct. It is a weak magnetic field that your heart puts out. Now, what did you just say at the very end there? It's the seat of all emotions, though. That I would disagree with you. Emotions are they're governed electrochemically. There's serotonin levels, dopamine. This is electrochemical process in the synapses. What do you, or would you say that has a lot to do with it, or explain why you think?
And also and it's like the heart has one, but also the brain has one. So it's like the electromagnetic field. It's all an embodiment of one. You know what I mean? Because mass energy equivalence, like this, it's all one, pretty much.
Well, the electromagnetic field
of the human, the biofield is what it's called.
Okay, like I mean, if you put all these small EM fields together as a sum total, I guess yes, we do. Our bodies have an electromagnetic field. I'll give you that. Okay.
It's embodiment. It's all one. You know what I mean? It's like one coherent entity, pretty much. And
but how does electromagnetic field affect our emotions?
Well, that's what on Heart Math Institute they discovered that the way the heart beats, it's all depending on how you feel, and it's like if you think about it, like because you know how you can be in the same room with someone, you can like feel how you just feel the mood, like you can tell, you know what I mean? Like you'd be around someone, you can just tell if they're down without even saying anything, just being around them. You know what I mean? You can feel like a presence, like. You know what I mean? Like,
let me.
Like you're around someone, you can tell something's wrong, and you're like, "What's
wrong?"
Oh, no.
Do you think that maybe a little of that might be just being able to read expressions on people's faces or body language, like if someone's stiff, or just the way people are moving, or if people aren't really talking much?
Yeah,
I mean, are there other ways that you could maybe use abductive reasoning instead of just attributing it to an electromagnetic field?
Of course, like you can see someone, something's wrong, but it's more like a feeling. I'm talking about the feeling, like like you could feel something. You know what I mean? Like you can feel something's wrong. Sometimes you don't even have to face them. You know what I mean? Like it's like you can feel like a vibe. Like you can. If you experience that, like you're in the same room and like what's wrong, and like oh nothing, but like person can be staring off into space, like and you have no reasoning to assume anything. It's just like it's and it's also did you see that it radiates like out of our body, kind of like the Earth's magnetic field.
I'm reading it now as you're talking. But I'll get to this about the 1994 panel of scientists at the National Institutes of Health. We'll get to that next. Let me go get my vape real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but I'm not just doubting it dismissing what you're saying right offhand. It's just that up until now, I've always thought that it was because I've been a big proponent of abductive reasoning, being that there are so many. You can read a person using just little subtle, like Sherlock Holmes does when he's like, "Oh, you had custard for lunch," and because this little, tiny little clues that people carry around with them and they don't even realize it. So I'm a big, I'm a big fan of that, of just being able to read someone. I don't know if there's any electromagnetic component involved, but
pulling up heart math, the research they've done on it.
Heart math research, Heart Math Institute.org.
Yeah, they kind of like done a thorough study since I think it's like a 20-year study, and they explain like how they studied it, the mechanism, the procedures they used, and like what they got from it. So they
adding heart translates into increased care, genuine correction. Okay, let's get to some science claims here.
Yeah, it's like I think it's a specific page. Science of the heart. Energetic communication. I know, like, if you go on the website, what I do is I Google human heart electromagnetic field and then pull up the Heart Math Institute page.
Human heart electromagnetic field.
Yeah. It says the heart's magnetic field can be measured several feet away from the body by sensitive magnetometers. Research conducted at HMI suggests the heart's field is an important carrier of information.
Okay. That first part, I absolutely agree with. That second part, let's talk about that because as far as being able to carry information is a broad term. DNA is a form of information, and I get Christians all the time saying the DNA couldn't have evolved because it's a code and it requires an intelligent designer, and I of course have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. Heart health, electromagnetic field, and then what was heart?
Heart math, human heart electromagnetic field, and heartmath.org.
Heart math.
Heartmath.org. Yes.
Heart math. Okay. Yes. Okay. Energetic communication. Yes. Here we go. Okay. Yes. This is they're explaining how magnetic fields produced by the heart are involved in communication. Okay, is this communication with yourself, like biofeedback, or please don't tell me it's communication with other people?
Yeah, it says.
Oh boy. Okay, I totally do not agree with that.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, prove it to me though. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
It says, because if you think about it, we can study the Earth's electromagnetic field, So I think it's not, you can study the heart's field. Like it says, prompted by our findings that the timing between pulses of the heart's magnetic field is modulated by different motional states, we have performed several studies that show the magnetic signals generated by the heart have the capacity to affect individuals around us. It says, every cell in our bodies is bathed in an external and internal environment of fluctuating invisible magnetic forces. It has become increasingly apparent that fluctuations in magnetic fields can affect virtually every circuit in biological systems to a greater or lesser degree, depending on the particular biological system and the properties of magnetic fluctuations. It says one of the primary ways that signals and messages are encoded and transmitted in physiological systems is in the language of patterns. Let me pull up something. Let's see. It says that we have found there is a direct relationship between the heart rhythm patterns and the spectral information encoded in the frequency spectra of the magnetic field radiated by the heart. Thus, information about a person's emotional state is encoded in the heart's magnetic field and is communicated throughout the body and into the external environment. And then it shows like what their studies. It shows a diagram.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page as you. And on this other page, Garrett, I don't want to. Okay, I don't want to just completely dismiss your claim offhand. Let me give you some competing information though. This is on another page. I went scholar.google.com for anyone that's actually wants to, for anybody that wants to actually use Google in a correct way. Scholar.google.com is a resource on Google that no one knows about. It's so untapped, and man, it's my go-to because that's the academia. It's the published articles, the peer-reviewed stuff, the real literature. So I'm looking at magnet therapy. It was a study that was done in, I don't see the date on here, but let's see. Efficacy of magnetic field therapy. Okay, so tell me if this is related to what you're talking about. Unbiased studies of magnetic therapy are problematic since magnetization can easily be detected, for instance, by the attraction force. Oh, okay, so since magnetization can be easily detected, for instance, by the attraction forces on ferrous, which is anything containing iron, ferrous objects. So your blood has iron in it. It's a ferrous substance. Because of this effective blinding of studies where neither patients nor the assessors know who is receiving treatment. So, like double blind studies where one is a control group that's just doing a placebo version of whatever is going on.
Yeah, it's just here. I don't know if you can see it. This is what it looks like. It's,
hold on. Let me get to the screen where you are.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where I was at.
It's like the Earth field. You know what I mean? Like it radiates outside of the body.
Right, but as to be able to interact with other people's magnetic fields in a positive or negative way. I mean, the Earth's magnetic field. Do you think the strong Earth's magnetic field that we live in right now? I mean, if you think that other humans can affect you through their magnetic field, you would definitely think that the Earth itself is affecting you too, right?
Yeah, exactly. The Earth, and also geomagnetic storms. When the sun's field pretty much battles the Earth's field, whenever there's geomagnetic storms, there's war. It affects us. Like there was a study. I don't know exactly where I found it, but it's on page, I believe 12 on the same page you're on.
Oh, let me get over to that one then.
Yeah, and it pretty much says that the sun's field, when it interacts with the Earth, it affects human behavior and causes revolutions on Earth are correlated with it. Even uprisings, wars. We're all influenced by the magnetic fields, because we live inside it. So,
and we're influenced. Is the field does it always influence, affect you negatively, or can it affect you positively too?
Positively too. It says right here, every cell in our body is bathed in an external and internal environment of fluctuating invisible magnetic forces that can affect virtually every cell and circuit in biological systems. Therefore, it should not be surprising that numerous physiological rhythms in humans and global collective behaviors are not only synchronized with solar and geomagnetic activity, but disruptions in these fields can create adverse effects on human health and behavior. And in the Bible, it talks about how we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but against the cosmic powers around us. We're affected by cosmic powers. And if you and then it says that Lucifer is the prince of the power of the air, and that Lucifer's in the earth. So if you think about it, the prince of the power of the air would be
Lucifer.
Yeah, it's Satan, the core, which is what I'm saying. We exist inside it, right? So he's we're influenced by the prince of the power of the air. We're influenced by him, and so the sun and battling the earth is pretty much, there's only two things we can get generated into. We'll get there. According to special relativity, mass energy equivalence, our total mass and energy of our field can neither be created nor destroyed, just converted to another system that requires motion that has radiant thermal energy. And so there's the sun, magnetic sun portals. Every 8 minutes, this is on NASA, the sun's field connects to the Earth's field, and they can actually detect the fields going in and out of it, magnetic fields going in and out of it. And also thermal would be the core, generate how the Earth's field generates. It needs a seed magnetic field to generate. So say that when our body dies, our system dies, our electromagnetic field does not die. It can either be created or destroyed. It just through the circuits, electric circuits, that currents that the Earth and sun we're existing inside of, we either get converted into the sun or the core, thermal or radiant energy.
Garrett, got to stop you.
Yeah.
I got too many things I gotta point out.
It's a lot taken.
Well, no, the first one is just remember where you left off though, so you can keep going. First thing is, I don't know how you jump from. That's a big jump going from electromagnetic fields to demonic forces. Well, as soon as you mentioned Lucifer, I don't know. That was a big jump. I mean, how did we get to that? Oh, also for those watching, that's a common misconception that Lucifer in the Bible was Satan. At no point in the Bible was he called Lucifer. It was Satan, Satan, the adversary, but Lucifer in the Bible was actually Nebuchadnezzar, the King Nebuchadnezzar the second. That's a common misconception, but yeah, I see what
and
you.
also
I know
it
what you
compares
mean.
like the king of Babylon. It compares different kings. It's almost like it's like that's all. It compares different kings. But
It's a
all
catch-all
talking about
name.
the same. Yeah.
It means the
It's talking about
shining one, and it was originally the planet Venus was the first Lucifer. It means the morning star, the shining one. But yeah, I can see how people could equate it with Satan. But how do you jump from electromagnetic fields to Satan? That's my first question. Second question is, when you die, the actual human electromagnetic field in your brain and your heart, those do go away. It doesn't. The actual electromagnetic field goes away. The energy in your atoms doesn't go away. It gets converted. I'll give you that. But the actual electromagnetic field is gone. There's still an electromagnetic. Electromagnetism is one of the 4 foundational forces of nature.
Yeah,
so every atom in your body still has an electromagnetic force when you die. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, I put a bunch of like laws and together. And to kind of like, you know, it says an electric charge is a conserved property, the net charge of an isolated system. The amount of positive charge minus the amount of negative charge cannot change. An electric charge has an electric field, and if a charge is moving, it also generates a magnetic field. The combination of the electric and magnetic field is called the electromagnetic field. In physics and chemistry, the law of conservation of energy states that the total energy of an isolated system, which would be a field or a body, remains constant. It is said to be conserved over time. This law means that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, just rather it can only be transformed or transferred from one form to another. Today, the relation of mass, momentum, velocity, and all forms of energy, including electromagnetic energy, is analyzed on the basis of Albert Einstein's special relativity and mass energy equivalence. If the conservation of mass law is interpreted as conservation of rest mass, it does not hold true in special relativity. The rest energy equivalently rest mass of a particle can be converted not to energy it already is energy mass, but rather to other forms of energy mass that require motion, such as kinetic energy, thermal energy, or radiant energy. Similarly, radiant energy can be converted to other kinds of particles that have rest energy mass. In the transformation process, neither the total amount of mass or total amount of energy changes, since both properties are connected via a simple constant. This view requires that if either energy or total mass disappears from a system, like when our body stops generating it, it is always found that both have simply moved to another place where they are both measurable as an increase of both energy and mass that corresponds to loss in the first system. And so
I agree with all that. I agree with all that. I just don't know how we get from there to being able to communicate with other people or to have an outside electromagnetic field force affect you in a sinister or positive way. I just don't know how we jump to that.
Yeah, well,
let me read something real quick from your website. This is how heart rhythm electromagnetism synchronizes between people. I'll just give you the Cliff Note version. Basically, okay, now I agree. Okay, beats per minute heart rate, and your electromagnetic field has certain waves. So this is trying to say that your wavelength, you pal up with people that your electromagnetic field syncs up with their electromagnetic field. And they're trying to say in working environments, they've done studies where the people that work best together, their EM fields sync up. So you know what? I'd have to look more into that. That seems like something that I could do. I would like to look into that a little more.
It makes sense, you know, like
it does kind of make sense. It's probably it may or may not be complete horseshit, but it is worth looking into.
Yeah, it shows too. If you look on the how the mechanisms they use, they show graphs, they show how they do it, they show step by step.
Yeah,
I mean,
subject A, subject B, and the heart rate and the frequencies and. Let's get back to that Satan before we forget.
Oh,
How does Lucifer jump? How does Lucifer factor in?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up where I've put together pretty much. Okay, so Lucifer is the prince of the power of the air, which is like the kind of if you look up the Hebrew definition of what the word used, it was air is defined as used in Ephesians. It's like the sphere, the global sphere, the world, pretty much. He's called the God of this world, and Jesus references as the spirit that, or the Bible references calls him, kind of references as the spirit that is in the world, and so the core of the earth, that's what will be generated into. That's geothermal energy. So when you die, you go through the magnetic the poles, and you get generated into the core. That's the thermal. And so like kind of we have
I
like,
see.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I
well,
got you now.
yeah.
All right, so
So it radiates outside into space, outside, and so that's really like so we're influenced by it. So
the
it starts from
Bible
the core. Yeah.
the Bible does. I mean, I'm very familiar with the fact that Christians tie uh, Satan to this earth. Like this is his
Yeah.
domain. This is his where this is his stomping ground. So he's in.
Yeah.
And so according to that theology, it would make sense that the core of the earth, which is the source, it truly is the source of our electromagnetic field, because that's where
That
all
would be Lucifer. Yeah.
the molten iron. I mean, you're not saying hell is in the center of the earth, though, right? It's just
Yeah, yeah, of course. That's that because that was would be generated into. Like if you aren't
wait. You
generated from
think
the
hell
sun,
is in the center of the earth, like the
yeah, the
physical
core.
hell?
That's the generation of the Earth's magnetic field. When we die, it says that we can be converted to other systems that require motion,
Uh-huh.
like thermal, which would be geothermal, the core. So when we
Right.
die, you literally get taken to the core or into the magnetic sun portals, which would be heaven.
So is that where the unrepentant souls, is that where they go? Is the center of this planet?
Yeah, because like when we die, like we're in it. You know what I mean? So we get taken to the electric current and get generated to the core.
Yeah, that's a tall claim,
Yeah,
man. I don't
yeah,
because a lot of Christians, especially progressive, the higher level theology, they won't say that it's that hell or heaven exists in a earthly spatial dimension. So there wouldn't be a physical
yeah.
place in this universe like the center of the earth or up in the
Well,
clouds or out in
in the
somewhere
Bible
out
it
in
says
space.
Isaiah 14:15 says, "But now you shall go down to hell, even to the foundations of the earth." Then it says, "Hell and destruction are before the Lord. How much more than the hearts of the children of men? The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God."
And that's not symbolic. That's literal. Like when they say down into the earth, I mean, they really mean down in the earth.
Foundations of the earth. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Um.
Of
Yeah.
course, as an atheist, I have big problems
Yeah.
with that, but I see where you're
Yeah.
going with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that
Okay.
would be like, yeah.
Yeah. Let me go back into the efficacy here in this one academic paper.
Mhm.
Effective blind. Oh, okay. So with these type of experiments, since we have iron in our bloodstream, and since
Mhm.
it's hard to have a control group for any of these experiments, they did admit that it's hard to get a placebo group in any of their double-blind studies. But here's what they say: the American Cancer Society says available scientific evidence does not support any claims about static or active magnetic fields playing any part in health or healing. That's
Yeah.
American Cancer Society. National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health study all their studies of magnetic. Oh, this is magnetic jewelry. So jewelry you can wear that affects your I don't know if you believe in that, but they say that there's no
I have to look into it.
no
Yeah.
demonstrable effect on pain, nerve function, cell growth, or blood flow. Oh yeah, no effective therapy for pain relief. Pretty much every organization that has ever done a major study on it. No effective therapy for magnetic communication between individuals, pain relief, any type of therapy. In Yeah, but they do admit to some sort of bias in the study because if it's hard, this type of experiment, it's hard to find a placebo, a control group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, the I don't know if you seen it yet. The magnetic sun portals. The reason why I say that it's heaven. Well, in the Bible it says God says, "Once I have sworn by my holiness, I will not lie unto David. His seed shall endure forever," which talk about Jesus, "and his throne as the sun before me." And then it says, when he had a dream, he saw a raised highway that had been built with its ending point on earth and its beginning point in heaven. God's angels were ascending and ascending on it. And then if you look up the article, says strange portal connects earth to sun. It says we call them X points, or electron diffusion regions, explained plasma physicist Jack Shooter of University of Iowa. They're places where the magnetic field of the Earth connects to the magnetic field of the sun, creating an uninterrupted path, leading from our own planet to the sun's atmosphere 93 million miles away. So this uninterrupted path would be the raised highway that had been built with its ending point on Earth, and those points will be called X points, or electron diffusion regions. And so, would be heaven. Like those are the raised highway that have been built. And so when you die, that would be heaven, the magnetic sun portals. That's the Jacob's ladder in the Bible.
Okay. So that's claiming that there is some sort of electromagnetic connection between
Yeah.
us and the sun. It's okay. When I'm picturing the electromagnetic field of the Earth, okay,
Mhm.
so the Earth in relation to the sun is offset by 23 degrees. That's how we get our seasons, right? So our axial tilt.
Mhm.
But other than that, we've got a North Pole and a South Pole. The electromagnetic fields extend off of the North Pole and wrap around to the South Pole. So it's a
Yeah.
self-enclosed system with like holes at the top and the bottom, basically.
Yeah.
The interaction between the sun is when oftentimes the sunspots create solar flares, which
Mhm.
are bad for all our electronics. So sometimes it can throw that off.
Yeah,
But
if
as
you think
far
about it,
as
the
like
sun's at war with the Earth. You know, you think. I
yeah,
mean,
but
like, you
a
know.
permanent connection, a permanent established connection between us and the sun, other than the radiation that's constantly bombarding us.
Yeah.
I don't get that. And
Yeah. Yeah. If you go on NASA magnetic
yeah,
sun portals, it's a NASA. It's on NASA.com or org. Um, they discovered that there's, you know, pretty much a portal. The sun's field connects to the Earth, and every time it does, it creates geomagnetic storms or auroras. And so, but they can detect fields going in and out of it. You know, they can sense it. So those fields that, you know, would be souls. You know, magnetic field, the fields coming from the Earth. When people die, they go to heaven. You go through the magnetic sun portals, or you go generate into the core, which is what happens when it leaves our system. We get converted to another system that has radiant and thermal energy. So the only two options we have, and so that's what they're detecting, I believe.
that's assuming that in this analogy, the sun is heaven. Then, according
Yeah,
the
magnetic
way
sun
you
portals
read
with
that.
Jacob's ladder. Yeah.
So you think maybe the center of the sun is like the physical? It's just like if hell is physically located in the center of the Earth, is possibly heaven located in the center of the sun?
When the sun, yeah.
Oh, and that's what you believed all
Or the
along.
sun, you know, you become part of the sun. When you die, you go through the magnetic sun portals, the magnetic fields, the human electromagnetic fields. When they
Okay.
die, leave their system, they get converted to other systems that require motion. So radiant energy would be the sun, if they don't have, because radiant energy can be converted to other systems that require motion also. And that's why they says, you know, if you have light, children of light, like the Bible calls it, saying, so let me see the correct verse. See, yeah, so when you die, our only two options we have is the sun or core, and then the Bible, it correlates with the magnetic sun portals being Jacob's ladder, you know, the raised highway that had been built with any point on earth and heaven, and how his God says that Jesus' throne would be the sun. His throne as the sun before me. So, you know, when we die, you know, that would explain heaven and hell pretty much. When you die, we can only be
Oh,
two
it
systems,
almost got me, Garrett. It almost
but
got me. I don't know if it got you. Okay, so I'm looking at sun portals on the NASA website, and it got me too. Boy, man, it almost got me.
what happened?
So it's a hoax site. I'm not a hoax site, but it's an independent site. Science.nasa.gov is not the NASA main site. This is it's like I'm not going to say pseudoscience, but it's an independently run site that has nothing to do with NASA itself. So I started reading this, thinking it was NASA, and I was like, "Oh God, Garrett's right.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's on
Magnetic
other websites.
portal, 93
Yeah,
million
other
miles
websites too.
away, and high energy, and it's a connection." And I was like, "Oh my God, I did not know anything about this." But then I
Yeah,
looked up,
yeah.
and this is
On
not it's not the
phys.org.
official NASA site.
Okay, yeah. On phys.org or phys.org, magnetic portals connect
It's
sun to
it's
earth.
science.nasa.gov. I don't even know how they got a government. Uh, how did they get a
Yeah,
.gov
there's
though?
multiple sites that say it too.
Because I'm on the actual NASA site and it's got nothing on sun portals, but I go to this other one,
Mhm.
NASA Science, Share the Science. It looks definitely a little sketchy. Not sketchy, but definitely not official.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's other websites you can go to also. Um, but yeah, that would kind of. Let me see. I'm trying to find it, but my thing's messing up. Magnetic sun
It's
portals.
called a flux transfer event,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
FTE. 10 years ago, I was pretty sure they didn't exist, but now the evidence is incontrovertible. Incontrovertible. I don't even know how to say that
And
word.
every 8 minutes, it opens up. Tons of high energy particles may flow through the opening before it closes again. Around the time you reach the end of the page, yeah, flux transfer event, and that would
Researchers
be
have long known that the Earth and the Sun must be connected. Earth's
Mhm.
magnetosphere is filled with particles from the Sun that arrive via the solar wind and penetrate the planet's magnetic defenses. Well, yeah, that's true, but They enter the following magnetic field lines all the way back to the sun's atmosphere. So it's a constant connection, this says.
Yeah,
Well, I guess in a way it is, because we're constantly bombarded by the by the radiation.
Yeah, so it says that they says the European Space Agency's fleet of 4 cluster spacecraft and NASA's 5 Themis probes have flown through and surrounded these cylinders, measuring their dimensions and sensing the particles that shoot through. They're real,
says Cybeck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on
so
the exact same page.
Yeah. And they have every 8 minutes that it opens up, which is and they can detect the magnetic fields inside the cylinder, twist and coil. Like, they can detect magnetic fields going in and out of it. So my theory is that when people die and they're going to heaven, that's what they're detecting. They're detecting the fields that leave the body, because you can't really study. Once a body dies, it instantly gets converted, so it appears to be disappearing. You know what I mean?
Oh, it does. What, instantly gets converted?
Yeah, like when our body stops generating it, it gets taken into electric currents. Kind of like when you turn off a light bulb, like the energy doesn't disappear; it goes through currents. So, like through the walls and stuff.
No. What's the word? Damn it! Your biorhythms. Once your body shuts down, it's no longer pumping blood. It's no longer creating electromagnetic field in your brain. That starts to, everything powers down, and the
system
cell
shuts off. Yeah,
right. But the cells in your body, yes, they still have potential energy. There's still, energy and matter are basically the same thing. So, there's still energy in your body, but it's the electromagnetism.
Because you know how it gets encoded in the heart math, it gets encoded into our fields. I believe that, because if you take the field out of our body, we're lifeless. You know what I mean? Like, we have we're lifeless. So, like, my theory is that that's our soul. The electric field is the scientific term for soul. Because if you take it out, because if you put it in our body, we're life. You take it out, but it gets generated, it gets created with our body. When our body gets created, but it can't be destroyed with our body.
So the Earth itself has a soul also?
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that'll be Lucifer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
The
actual giant electromagnetic field of the Earth, that's Satan's soul.
The prince of the power of the air, and all the demons because he inhabits the air. We're influenced by him, they say, unless we have light in our radiant energy, which would be like light, pretty much. If you're not influenced by light, you're influenced by him. And so there's this constant war going on that people might not be aware of, but we're influenced by it. The sun's field battling the Earth's field, solar storms and all that. That's the real war going on. The cosmic powers that the Bible talks about. We're not fighting against flesh and blood. We're fighting against cosmic powers.
All right, Garrett. I'm just gonna. I don't know if this will help any, but I'm gonna walk you through. I'm gonna walk us both through. At the instant of death. You lose your pulse, you lose absence of breathing, absence of reflexes, all your pupillary constriction, you can no longer respond to bright light. And this is the exact moment of death. Within the first hour, all your muscles are completely relaxed, state of flaccidity. I think it's also called rigor mortis. The eyelids, let's see, human heartbeats. Can your heart could still beat every once in a while within the first hour of death. It's just a autonomic system. Sometimes it'll just beat once. I mean, you're already dead. Sometimes your heart will.
Yeah, because our heart. Because think about it this way: when we have surgery and you get a pacemaker, your heart's taken out, right? But as long as it's generated,
no.
Generated.
Your heart's still in there. When you have a pacemaker, you still have a heart. The pacemaker just controls the beating of your heart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, our field, it's like our field is there. Our heart it may come from our field may come from our body, but when our body dies, the field doesn't create or destroy it. It doesn't, it stays intact, mass energy equivalence. And so as long as it needs something to generate it, something to keep it alive, pretty much, So that's why when it leaves our system, it gets converted to another system that can generate it, which would be the sun or core. Keep it alive, pretty much, like electric current. It keeps it, generating. So, but if our body dies, it needs another system to generate it, or it will, doesn't have anywhere to go. And that's
here it says it can take up to a full 12 hours for for your body to become completely room temperature and for the electromagnetic field to completely dissipate. 12 hours.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I
So there
believe
might be synapses and shit firing in your brain just willy-nilly, but after 12 hours, all that's even gone.
yeah, once it leaves, once our system just completely shuts down, then it gets converted.
Hmm. Wow, man. It's a lot to think about. And inside right now, probably at least 70% of the people watching this are just going to dismiss it offhand and say you're completely full of shit. But hey, that's
Yeah,
what
and
this show is
but,
all about. It's about challenging our viewpoints. And
mhm.
I have been unable to effectively give you reasons why it's bullshit, and which is a good thing because
Yeah, I
now
suggest
I
people
have to
research
dig
it, you know?
deeper.
Yeah, research it because
Yeah.
there's certain things you can't refute. Like we have a biofield. You can't refute special relativity mass energy equivalence. That you can't refute that the sun is radiant and the core
Nope.
is thermal, and so that's pretty much all you need. Like
Yeah.
according to those, when it die, when our system shuts down, or our field doesn't disappear, it gets generated, into another
This is
system.
this is a good transition point now. So I know you did a lot of research prior to this. So
Yeah.
I think we're at the end of that discussion. What other topics do you want to bring up
Oh,
regarding this? I'm looking at the original email and see if anything jumps
yeah, there
out
is
at me.
something else. It's kind of like a whole another discussion. Would you be willing to talk about it? It's like it kind of might be.
Is it related to the electromagnetic fields?
It has to do with it has to no, not electronic field. No, it's actually the creation of the universe and how.
Hit me with it. At
Yeah.
least I know that better than the human body.
Okay. Cool. So pretty much they discovered. Let me pull it up right here. Okay. There's an article. It says the black hole at the birth of the universe. And then it says scientists have just found a very huge, very young supermassive black hole. As far as we know it shouldn't be able to exist. Creating such a massive one in such a relatively short period of time would be impossible. That suggests that another entirely unknown process was happening at the same time. And that's an article on its own. And then there's another article talks about how there's a theory how a fourth dimensional star collapsed into a black hole and expanded to a hypersphere, which is our universe. And it says there could be a gaping hole in the Big Bang Theory, or rather a giant colossal black hole caused by the collapse of a four-dimensional star. And this will be the black hole that they're observing at the birth of the universe. So in that model, our 3D universe is merely a membrane, also known as a brain, floating through a 4D bulk universe. It says Ashford's team realized that if the bulk universe contained its own four-dimensional stars, some of them could collapse, forming 40 black holes in the same way that massive stars in our universe do. When Ashford's team modeled the death of a 4D star, they found that the ejected material would form a 3D brain surrounding that 3D event horizon and slowly expand. Ashford's team believes that the universe might be that very membrane and that its inflation might be triggered by a motion through a higher dimensional reality. In other words, we might be living in a brain around the event horizon of a 4D star that collapsed and gave birth to the universe. It says it's a bold claim, but one that solves a handful of problems in fundamental physics. But if you correlate that with what the Bible says, thus says God the Lord, he who created the heavens and expanded them, which explain how expanded. And so my theory is that Christ, because you know how we're made of stars, like they discovered that when we're stardust pretty much.
Yep.
So it says the sun is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For through him, through the death of this 40 star, God created everything in heaven and on earth, the seen and unseen things, including spiritual powers, lords, rulers, and authorities. God created the whole universe through him and for him. He existed before anything else, and he holds all creation together. So that would be the event horizon of this collapsed 40-dimensional star that gave birth to the universe.
You lost me at four-dimensional, though.
Yeah.
How does that?
Yeah.
If we're not including time, because time is like the fourth dimension in physics usually, but we're talking spatial dimensions. So
yeah, because
how does that fourth spatial dimension get factored in?
The fourth spatial dimension, I believe, is electromagnetic field. That's like if you look at a 4D cube, I forgot what it's called. Start with T. It has like a regular cube, and then
inside a cube, kind of.
Yeah, so if that looks just like the human's electromagnetic field, exactly looks just like it. There's the 3D, and then the 4D expands outward. But the 4D exists when the 3D doesn't exist. Pretty much when our body dies, we exist outside of this body.
I don't see that as a spatial dimension, because in physics, electromagnetism is just one. There's four fundamental forces in nature: the weak nuclear force, the strong nuclear force, electromagnetism, and gravity. So those don't factor into spatial dimensions in physics.
Well, if you think of the way I look at it is like it's invisible. Like the electromagnetic field, the Earth's invisible, the sun's field is visible, ours is visible, but it's still there.
What do you mean invisible? Like our eyes can't.
Yeah, like we can't see our electromagnetic fields.
No, we can't see anything except
but it's still
visible
there,
light's a tiny little. We can't see infrared. We can't see microwaves. When you turn on your microwave, there's not light shooting out of it because our eyes can only see one little part of the EM field.
Yeah, but this embodiment, it exists whether we see it or not, and
right.
According and it still will exist because it can't be destroyed.
Sorry for getting you on tangent. And so you were tying that to something biblical now.
Yeah. So pretty much the sun is this 4D star that collapsed, died, and God created the whole universe through him and for him, and he holds all creation together. And that would be, it says, in the article, it says, in other words, we might be living in a brain around the event horizon of a collapsed hyperdimensional star that gave birth to the universe. And that would be the Son of God.
And you say black holes are much older than we think.
When the black hole at the birth of the universe, because they can look back in time, which I thought was pretty interesting. But they discovered that there's a supermassive black hole that they don't know how it got there. They're like,
right.
It's too young. Yeah.
I just looked it up real quick, and I could be wrong. Someone in the comments will fact check either you or me or both of us. But the earliest possibility that black holes could have existed based on our current model is 690 million years after the Big Bang. So if the universe is 13.8 billion years old right now, the first black hole was in 690 million years. So about 1/13 of the age of the universe. So a pretty young universe, but not immediately following the Big Bang by any means.
Yeah. National Geographic says gigantic black hole discovered from the dawn of time. Astronomers find a cosmic monster that pushes theories of the early universe to the limit.
I would call that the dawn of time, but it's still 690 million years after the Big Bang. I mean, elementary particles like protons and electrons weren't even created until 380,000 years after the Big Bang. I mean, there couldn't be a black hole any earlier than that.
It says they were also able to detect something about the neighborhood of space around the black hole, finding that about half the area had unionized hydrogen, which would have blocked out light, leading to those first few hundreds of millions of years of darkness in the universe, and half had ionized hydrogen, indicating that this black hole could have existed at a time when the universe switched from being dominated by the former to the latter.
Yeah, but that wasn't immediately after the Big Bang, though. That was hundreds of thousands of years later, because there was no hydrogen, because there were no protons yet. There weren't even photons.
Yeah. And also to correlate with the Bible, the star, it says, the Bible says, to whom can you compare God? To what image can you liken him? Look up at the sky. Who created the stars you see? The one who leads them out like an army. He knows how many there are and calls each one by name. His power is so great, not one of them is ever missing. So this 40 star would be that star. It says, who created the stars you see? The one who leads them out like an army.
All right, so this 40 star that collapsed, and that's the, what'd you say? That's the source of all humankind. That's the source. What?
Yeah, that would be the Son of God. The Son is the image of the visible God. Through him, God created everything in heaven on earth. He created the whole universe through him and for him. He existed before anything else, and he holds all creation together. So that would be the event horizon of this star.
Before this 4D star collapsed, what was there? Was that the beginning of creation?
That was the beginning of everything. Yeah, it collapsed into a black hole. So from the Father, outside of time and space, through the death of the Son, into the third dimension, Holy Spirit. So that would be like, the three.
So what was before this 4D star?
I think it was eternal. I think it was right when before that would be outside of time and space, right before anything started, which would be the Father.
Okay.
He created the Son. The Son was like the embodiment of the Father, and then through the death of the Son, he created the universe. So the star was like, it existed before time, itself. Well, and it began time when it died.
Do you know, Garrett? I just found out about it myself, but there is it seems to be a growing. It's still a minority opinion, I'm sure, but it's growing in popularity. Instead of Big Bang, a big bounce, meaning up until now, it was commonly believed that all matter in the universe was at a single infinite point, right? At the Big Bang, at t=0, when time and space began, right? That it was an infinite point. Now they're saying that point was not infinite at all. It was what they call the Planck length, which is really damn small, but it's not infinite, right? And it was the process of a crunch from an earlier universe, possibly something, black holes might be universe creators is what they're saying. So a black hole in another universe might have crunched a lot of matter down into what's called the Planck length, and that created a critical like density to where it created a bounce. So it bounced back, and that's the cause of our universe. So we are the result of possibly a black hole or something else that consolidated matter to the Planck length and then blew it all out and inflationary universe over on into this universe. I don't know. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah.
So it could
Yeah.
be a cyclic thing. That we could just be a result of an earlier universe.
Yeah. Our collapsed hyperdimensional star, and then the event horizon of it would be the hyperspace, the third dimension. So we're existing in around that, that the event horizon of a star that gave birth to the universe.
There's no reason why the universe before us has to have 3 spatial dimensions. I give you that. It could have, according to string theory, our current universe has 11 dimensions. It's just that
they're all like, it's all like a.
Well, 3 are visible, and then the rest are wrapped up so tight we don't even notice them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to chew on, man, and I'm don't listen to the. There's going to be haters in the comment section that are.
I mean, the debate side, I kind of get used to it. Like, I don't take it personally. You know what I mean? Because like it's just like
you can't.
It's a very sensitive subject. Yeah.
But here's the deal: even though these are bold claims, if someone doesn't have anything concrete, if they just say that's bullshit, well, you're not telling me anything. But
I get that a lot. I'm just like
I would ask that people in the comment section if they want to refute this, and I know a lot of them can do it better than me, but to actually back it up with some science,
Yeah, and I welcome that. Like an actual. That's why I guess when you saw me on the debate site, there's really all I really got the answers from is like, oh, bullshit, crazy, or whatever, and I don't take it seriously because I'm like, okay, well, I want something to say to refute it. You know what I mean? I don't take it personally at all because I understand how it is online. Like, it's, no one's saying it directly to you as a person. It's all based upon beliefs and stuff like that.
Are you in the military by any chance?
No.
Because that looks like a barracks building right behind you.
I'm at the library. Yeah.
It looks like a college campus or a military barracks.
I'm actually behind the library.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I had. I'm surprised it lasted so long, which is good.
Oh man, most of mine usually go about an hour and a half, so this is great.
Yeah.
But I've got back-to-back interviews. I got another one tomorrow. I've got another one Thursday. Shit. Oh, and when I get off here, I'm going to link you. I worked on a video for 10 hours last night. It's not out yet, but I'll let you sneak preview it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of it.
How long would it take for this to be uploaded?
This could be out a month from now. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay. That's
good, it's not going to be right away because we just did 12 hours of recording last Saturday. I'll sprinkle this one in there somewhere, but I always give you a heads up before it's going to go out.
Awesome.
So you can maybe get in the live chat during the premiere and like interact with the fans and shit.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
All right. Hey, thanks so much for your time, Garrett. And
thank you for having me. I was very excited. It's cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Telling everyone about it. Like, it's a good opportunity to actually say it other than Facebook. You know what I mean? Like, to get it out there.
Right. So you are okay. So your Facebook and your email address. Well, I'll go ahead and put that in the description for anyone that wants to bounce any other ideas off of you, or challenge your ideas, or agree with your ideas, or maybe show you. Yeah. And of course, in the comment section, they'll let me know how woefully unprepared I was for this conversation. I should have done more research. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a lot of information
though. About it, so I like talking about it, So I'll talk about it with my friends and stuff like that, but they're just like, they look at me because you hear this like extreme claim, like, and it's from somebody, you know what I mean? Like, rather than like a scientific source, then no one really considers it. So I thought it was cool to be able to say it, on something that's like other than Facebook.
it's a big jump anytime you go from natural world to supernatural, which is what we did. I mean, that's a big jump, and we have to reconcile that. That's the source of most people's concern, is when you jump to a supernatural explanation. If you keep it in the natural, no matter how fringe it is, people can deal with you. But then once you jump to a supernatural, then it gets
when I said Lucifer, you're like, whoa.
Yep. Yeah, because I know everyone watching, as soon as you said Lucifer, even the ones that were right there with you, the conspiracy theorists were right there with you until you went to there, and then there's a lot of people going, whoa, yeah.
Hopefully they kind of understood, like, what.
All right,
I should have
Garrett.
waited
Thanks
till
so
I
much,
said that.
and we'll have
Yeah,
you back on. And I know this is probably just the beginning of a longer talk, so we're definitely going to have you on later.
Hell yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, take care now.
All right, you too.
I had to call the police last night. It got a little scary.
Really?
It scared the shit out of my family, my kids. I was editing a video. It wasn't even midnight yet.
Yeah.
And someone pounded on my window outside. It was pretty late at night. I mean, pounded on my window. And then not a second later, someone was pounded on this other window over here. So couldn't have been the same person. They didn't have time to get around over there. So it was definitely two or more people pounding on my windows. So I thought it was just maybe one of my friends or something playing a joke on me. So I was like, hey, what's up, man? Come around to the front. Who is it? So I go around and I look through the peephole and someone's got their hand over it. Then I start kind of freaking out. So then of course I lock and load and I'm crouched. I'm ready to go outside. And just to give my next door neighbor a heads up, he's a police officer. So I call him. I go, hey, Nate, man, do a sweep of my front. I told him what was going on. I said, okay, count to 10 and we'll both go out there at the same time and you hit him from another angle. We went out there. It was nobody. They had long gone.